Welcome back once again, all of my low carb friends, and for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Today I have another very easy, quick keto bread recipe for you. Today I am going to show you how to make quick keto pinwheels. These are great because you can use these to make any flavor bread you want. You can stuff it with whatever you want. You can make it savory, you can make it sweet. It's quick and delicious. And if you want a printable version of this recipe, you can check out my website at janet'sdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of this recipe and other goodies there for you. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see lots of easy, delicious, low-carb keto recipes, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time I put out videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And if you'd like to help support the channel, make sure you scroll down in the description of the video. You'll see some affiliate links. Anytime you purchase anything using those affiliate links, a small portion of your purchase will go to me and help support the channel. So, while we do all that, let's get cooking. In a large mixing bowl, combine 60 grams or around a half cup of coconut flour, 15 grams or around 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 gram or around a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum or gelatin powder. You don't necessarily have to have this in your dough, but I recommend that you have xanthan gum or gelatin powder in your dough. This is just to make your dough flexible, so when you are shaping and rolling the pinwheels, your dough has a little bit more stretch and is less likely to crumble or fall apart after it's done baking. If you want to, you can add some dry seasonings or spices according to your taste. I'm adding a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of oregano. Now, if you're wanting to make this a sweet pinwheel rather than a savory pinwheel, you can always add a few tablespoons of the granulated sweetener of your choice. I'm making a savory pinwheel right now, so I'm not putting any sweetener in it. Sift the dry ingredients all together until they're fully combined and there are no lumps in the dry ingredients. Add 2 large room temperature eggs. Make sure they are room temperature so they stir in more smooth. Stir the eggs into the dry ingredients until everything is fully combined and all the dry ingredients are moist. Add 1/4 cup of butter that's been melted and cooled. Make sure it is cooled. You do not want to add hot butter. And 61 grams or around a 1/4 cup of plain yogurt or sour cream. Make sure this is also room temperature. Room temperature ingredients combine more smoothly, which makes for a more smooth, soft bread. Stir the ingredients all together until everything is fully combined and a dough begins to form. Add 31 milliliters or around 2 tablespoons of warm water. Make sure the water is warm. This, along with your xanthan gum, will help keep your dough soft and flexible so that it stays together better when you are shaping it. Stir the water in until everything is fully combined and you have a smooth dough that is formed. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and push all the dough to the center of the bowl. Then form the dough into a smooth ball. Massage the dough ball in your hands just for about 20-30 seconds. This is just to make sure that you have the right texture of dough. You want to make sure that your dough is soft and slightly moist. It should not be sticking to your hands and it should not be crumbling. If it's sticking to your hands, then you need to add just a very tiny bit amount more of coconut flour. If it's crumbly and not coming together well, then you need to add a little bit more water. As I always tell you guys, coconut flour, the density of coconut flour varies depending on brands, so you may or may not need a little bit more or a little bit less moisture. For me, this is perfect. I don't need to add anything to it. Once you've massaged the dough and you've gotten the right texture, form it back into a ball and place it back into your mixing bowl. Then set it aside for just 1 second. Line a clean work surface with parchment paper. Then place your dough ball in the center of your lined work surface. Press or roll the dough out into a rectangle that's about a 1/4 inch thick. If you're going to be rolling it with a rolling pin, make sure that you cover the dough with another piece of parchment paper. That way the dough does not stick to your rolling pin. Make sure when you are rolling this out, you keep the dough smooth and get it as close to a rectangle shape as you can. Once you've rolled the dough out to your desired thickness, which for me is around a 1/4 inch thick, Spread about 15 grams or about 1 tablespoon of mustard or the sauce of your choice in a very thin layer across the dough. You want to make sure this is just a very thin layer. You don't want the sauce to squish out the sides when you start rolling up the dough. You can put any sauce you want. If you want to make this into a pizza pinwheel, you can put a little bit of pizza sauce, or you can put some ranch, or if you're wanting it to be sweet, you can put a little bit of frosting or jam. It's up to you. You can be as creative as you want. Make sure when you are spreading the mustard or whatever sauce you're using, you leave about a 1/2 inch border around all the edges of the dough. Then take about a 1/2 pound, roughly around 5 to 6 thinly sliced deli cut ham, and place it over the mustard or whatever sauce you're using. Make sure the meat is just slightly overlapping each other. And again, if you don't want to do ham, you can put whatever meat or filling of your choice. If you're wanting to do a pizza roll, you can put some pepperoni or sausage, whatever you want. Then sprinkle around 3 to 4 ounces or about 1 cup of the shredded cheese of your choice over the ham. Make sure you just do this in an even thin layer across the ham. And again, you can use whatever filling you want. You can change or adjust according to your taste of flavors. The biggest thing that you just want to make sure is that you don't overfill your pinwheels. Otherwise, when you go to try to roll them up, your dough's going to start cracking because it's going to be stretching too much. So make sure you don't overfill your pinwheels. Once you have your filling over the dough and you've got that 1/2 inch border around the edges, then use the parchment paper that the dough is on to help you steady the dough as you're rolling. Then starting at the long side that is closest to you, take the paper and roll the dough up into a tight spiral log. Make sure you keep the dough as even as possible. Make sure it stays smooth and keep the roll nice and tight. If your roll is not tight, then when you bake it, your pinwheel is going to crumble on you. So make sure you keep that roll nice and tight. Once your dough is rolled up into that spiral log, keep the parchment paper wrapped around your dough and place the wrapped dough onto a baking sheet. Then place it in the freezer for about 15 to 20 minutes. This is just going to help firm your dough up so that it's easier to slice. You're not trying to freeze the roll or make it solid. You're just wanting the dough to firm up just a little bit, just enough so that when you slice it, it stays together well. While the dough is in the freezer, preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Line the bottom of 2 round 8-inch cake pans with parchment paper and set them aside for just a minute. In a small bowl, place 2 tablespoons of melted butter, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of dry parsley. Use a fork and stir them together until they're fully combined. After 15 to 20 minutes and your dough has firmed up a little bit, remove it from the freezer and place it on a clean cutting surface. Then carefully unwrap the dough. Use a very sharp knife and trim the ends of your dough log to make sure that the dough is nice and even. Then carefully cut the dough log into your desired size slice. I do mine about a 1/2 inch thick. Place the pinwheel slices flat side down, directly next to each other into your prepared cake pans. Then brush the tops of each one of the pinwheels with the butter and garlic mixture. Place the pinwheels in your preheated oven and bake at 375 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes or until golden. Once the pinwheels are done baking, remove them from the oven, so allow them to cool in the pan for about 10 to 15 minutes or until firm. Remove them from the pan and transfer them to a wire rack. You can eat them warm or you can allow them to cool completely at room temperature. If you do have any leftovers, store them in an airtight container in your refrigerator for up to 5 days. Eat and enjoy. And that's our recipe of the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up like button, click that subscribe button, leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make, and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.